Happy good morning with this brilliant bright sun that is happening. My name is Brianne from Zenful Mindings, and today I wanted to spend a few minutes talking about breathing, which sounds super weird and obvious, but is very integral to our daily lives. Obviously, breathing is how we live, but also how we breathe is how we live, right? So on the yoga mat, we often hear or talk about our breath supporting us and finding this optimal yogic breath that is deep, smooth, even, continuous, and quiet. And I'm not talking if you're familiar about pranayama. I am just simply talking about this yogic breath, which is really a rather passive thing to find, right? Because it's about letting the body soften, and it's about giving that air pathway room to just do its job, to feed your body oxygen, to support itself, right? But that's rather hard to do because in our lives, we are very often not finding breath in that same kind of capacity. Um, we also talk about on the yoga mat finding our breath to support us and using it as a gauge to figure out like where we can soften and where we can kind of find some harmony with opposition. But how do we take that stuff off of the yoga mat? It's something that for me really didn't quite like get integrated into my off the mat life, probably until like the last year and a half, I would say. It was something that I knew about on the mat and I would come to, but I didn't really give a lot of thought to it until I started a consistent meditation practice, until I really turned to mindfulness practices and also trying to teach my daughter some mindfulness practices. And it has changed how I react to things quite profusely. It's really been this magnificent jewel, particularly in the last year with everything that's going on in our world and culture. It's quite stressful. And if how we breathe is how we live, then what can we do to better support ourselves in this capacity? And I mentioned before that on the yoga mat, finding that optimal breath is really about passivity, right? It's not about forcing it or creating this giant effort. Instead, it's about stopping and pausing and listening and allowing, right? And that's probably the biggest problem that I think that we run into is where can we stop and pause? We often think we can't afford to take that 30 seconds or that minute to stop and do that. But I encourage you just to do that when you can, right? You don't have to have a fancy setting. You can stop at your desk. You can do it at a red light. You can do it while you're waiting in line at the store or when you're clicking that checkout button for online shopping. Whatever it is, you can take a few moments just to check in with your breath. If you follow me on Facebook or Instagram, I am hopefully going to be starting a breath challenge here in the next couple of days. So keep your eyes peeled for that. And here's what I'd like to encourage you to do. So wherever you are in those moments, we'll just take a moment. We'll practice right now. So wherever those moments are, to get to know your breath a little bit better. Maybe you're standing and that's cool, or you're sitting down, whatever it is. If you can close your eyes, great. If not, just kind of soften your gaze a little bit and turn that awareness, that attention inward, right? Just inward. And just don't change anything you're doing with the breathing. Don't judge it, but just start to notice where you feel that breath moving in your body. Where is it moving your body? Maybe you feel it in your throat or your chest or maybe your belly. And then just sort of notice how fast it's going. Is it going pretty fast? Is it slowing down? Are there any starts and stops where it feels choppy? And again, don't try to change it, just notice it. And then with your next breath, use your imagination and just maybe breathe into the base of your spine. With the next breath, breathe into the center of your belly. And then we'll breathe into the center of the heart space. Breathe into the center of the throat. And then all the way up to the crown of the head. And keeping the eyes, I got real zenned out. Keeping the eyes closed or soft. Just notice your breath now. Again, no judging it, but just putting on that observation cap. What's different, if anything is different? Just by breathing along those points in the air passageway, what have you noticed? And how does that make you feel? Physically, emotionally, mentally? What has that done for you? Once you're there, I encourage you to take 3 to 5 good breaths in that softened space before you go on about your day. And then maybe try this a few times a day and see what happens. Let me know what happens as you're breathing. So with that, I will bid you adieu for today. Please like, share, subscribe, comment below. Feel free to also message me. I would really enjoy hearing how or if this helps or has changed anything for you. So have a beautiful, beautiful day. Enjoy the sunshine and don't forget to breathe.